And welcome back to Red Card. I'm your host, Anthony Totera. And once again, thanks to Phil Tobin of the Red Patch Boys for joining us and taking time out of his busy schedule. Joining us right now, a friend of the show and a guy that has the heartbeat, the pulse of this city, what's going on, what's happening in the footy circles, Dwayne Rollins of the Canadian Soccer News. Dwayne, welcome.
Good to be back.
Dwayne, Phil Tobin just got off the line with us, and he is not one bit happy. He actually went as far as to say that as a season ticket holder, he'd be really seriously thinking about handing them in and calling it a day if the Argos do come there. That says a lot. That to me is shocking, but that's how upset the loyal TFC fans are. Discuss.
Yeah, I mean, for those that don't know, not only I have a press pass and go that way as well, but I own 3 season tickets as well. And at the very least, I would be looking at downgrading those if they do this. And it speaks to not, you know, a lot of people will say, well, why didn't you give up when they were losing over all these years? Why didn't you give up when they did this or that? But to me, this is a different thing. Losing I can handle so long as they're respecting the sport and they're trying. And in my mind, as much as they may not have been very good at what they were doing, they've always been trying to be better. Not successful, obviously. We know that in hindsight. But this fundamentally, if they move in, it disrespects the sport and the integrity of the sport, in my mind. And that's what it comes down to. And I know that there's Argos fans and CFL fans, and I hate the fact that they're putting one sport against the other, because I don't like doing that. But there's a lot of people on that side of it that don't understand how fundamentally it hurts the integrity of the game, and that's my issue. If MLSE puts this in here, to me, that's the last straw in terms of demonstrating any sort of indication that they understand that they get it.
And you're bang on, Dwayne. And let me tell you, look, I don't like that they pit one sport against another. I loved the Argos as a kid growing up here in Toronto. You know, I remember Joe Barnes, Conridge Holloway. Let's go up to Pinball Clemens, on and on. I have love in my heart for the Argos, but not there at BMO Field. Stay far away from BMO Field. I don't understand this, Dwayne. You and I discussed this in the past. Why don't the Argos look into Lampard Stadium, putting some renovations in there, making that their home, like the Alouettes did with, I think it was McGill? Why do they got to come there when they have a facility just, you know, a few minutes away that they can make their own?
Well, this has always been the mystery to me, is why they're not fighting for their own stadium, and B, why they're not understanding why that's the solution for them. I get the history behind this. I mean, a lot of CFL fans will accuse me of not understanding. I used to cover CIS football, the gridiron stuff. I understand the CFL. I've known CFL players. I was a guest of the Toronto Argonauts at a game about 10 years ago because of my work in the CIS. I get this sport. And what I'll tell you is that if you don't move in to your own stadium, you are not controlling your revenues. You are not fixing the problem, the root problem of the Toronto Argonauts, and that is they lose a lot of money. They think that if they move into a small stadium like BMO, and this is not a small stadium anymore, it's going to have 30,000 seats next year, that they're somehow going to replicate the Molson Stadium experience, which was an intimate little 18 to 20,000 seat stadium where they had a party in the stands every game. Even in Montreal, that isn't happening anymore. There is no chance it's going to happen here. It's just going to be the same experience, only colder than the Argos are having right now.
Let me ask you this, Dwayne. We're always talking about TFC and how their fans and their supporters and the players are going to feel about if the Argos come there. I don't think we're talking enough about Canadian men's national team and their players on how they feel about this. I know for a fact there's a couple guys that I reached out to that do not like if this is going to take place, and they feel that this is a slap in the face once again to soccer in this province, in this city, and in this country. And I asked them, would you think about possibly going to play somewhere else in the country with some of your other teammates? They said, sure. If this is going to happen, why not just go to Saputo and play there?
Yeah, well, the reason they don't want to go to Saputo is the CSA is reluctant to go to Saputo is it's, a couple reasons. It's easier to accommodate people here in terms of hotels and things like that, but it's also the crowd. There's such a groundswell of support for the Canadian national team in Canada, in Toronto, that just isn't anywhere else. Now, part of that's because they haven't played anywhere else, and that's a different topic, but you know, they can get a pro-Canadian crowd in there now where they couldn't 10 years ago. I'm not sure they would do that if they moved into Montreal routinely, and we saw what happened 2 cycles ago against Honduras. No, it is a slap in the face, though. the amount of money that's been spent on CFL stadiums since 2010, since the stadium boom started, is astronomical. By a rough conservative estimate, I came out with a figure of $764 million that has been spent on CFL stadiums versus the $55 million that was spent on BMO, and that is the only substantial soccer build that has ever happened in this country. It is a slap in the face of a sport that is, in my mind, more popular, or at least will be very soon, than the CFL, and that has a great deal of drive and connection to this city, especially to those who are first or second generation Canadians. It really is a slap in the face.
Let's be honest, Dwayne. I mean, the surface of BMO isn't the best in North America. I would say it's maybe in, maybe top 20 in all of North America when it comes to grass specific stadiums pertaining to playing footy, culture, the game we love so much. A couple years ago, I had a chance to speak with Dax McCarty of the Red Bulls. He was no fan of this surface. He called it dry. He called it a cow pasture. I know the guys at BMO in the crew there at the maintenance, and they do the best they can, and they do a pretty darn good job. And to me, I'm thinking of a rainy game with the Montreal Alouettes, Toronto Argos. It gets muddier and muddier. That surface is going to be destroyed, Dwayne.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is there is the one slightly positive, and I'm really stretching for this, is they put a hybrid surface in there, and they somehow managed to make it okay for CFL and soccer use. I don't think that's possible, but that is the issue right now, is they don't have, that reinforcement that a hybrid would put in, and I think they need to be looking at that moving forward because of the problems they've had there. But the problems they're having there is based on weather, it's based on climate, it's based on the fact that we're in Canada. They couldn't even keep, for 2 NFL games at Wembley Stadium, which is one of the most beautiful pitches in the world, that was torn up because of 2 NFL games. Could you imagine putting 8 CFL games into a worse climate than London in summer or London in the fall? It's mind-boggling that they think that this can work. And again, I just don't think that the CFL, because it's desperation on the CFL side, they think they're going to lose the team if they don't get this done, and I get that. But they have to sometimes take a step back and look at this from the soccer perspective. You are fundamentally hurting the sport of soccer. You can play soccer on a football pitch and not have it fundamentally change. You can't. Sorry, I'm trying to say you can play football on a soccer pitch and not have it fundamentally change how you're playing football, but you can't do it the opposite, and that's just not fair. I
asked a number of people as we close it out, Dwayne, today when this story was again rearing its ugly head, if they would really, forgive and forget and let it take its course and let the Argos come there. And they said no. And I said, all right, what if TFC goes on to sign another wonderful name? Let's say a Wayne Rooney, and he comes to play here for TFC, but the Argos is still here. Will you forgive and forget? No. We don't care if whoever comes here to play with TFC, we want our surface, our stadium preserved the way it's been since day one. Do not destroy it. We will leave TFC instantly if this happens. I don't think they realize the damage that this is going to take place, Dwayne.
Yeah, and from talking to season ticket holders that have been talking to the ticket reps and threatening to leave if they put the Argos in there, what the ticket reps are saying back is, well, look at the commitment we've put to the team. Travinko's in here, Altidore is in here. We are, fundamentally committed to winning at this. That's the argument they get back. They're not understanding where people are coming from that are going to the point of threatening to walk away. It has nothing to do with the wins and losses. If people were going to walk away because of the wins and losses, because of the type of players that have been in there, they'd be long gone. TFC has been a disaster on the pitch. We all know that. The people that are still here are here because they love the sport and want to support the sport at the local level and feel that the best way to do that is to continue to stay with the local team regardless of how much they've struggled. The names don't matter, the signings don't matter. Well, they do to a point, but they don't matter if you're fundamentally going to disrespect the game, which is what this does.
We'll close it out with this. You're a season ticket holder, you said. Come 2016, if the Argos are playing at BMO Field, will you renew all 3? Will you just take a pair? What will you do?
Well, 2 of the 3 I would have to talk to other people. My inkling right now is that I would continue to cover the sport, but I would do so off the press pass, and I would no longer be giving them any of my money. I give them the money now because I feel that that's important to support the team on 2 levels, and and I just don't think I'd continue that if that were the case.
Wow, you're not the first one that has said that today. Dwayne Rollins of the Canadian Soccer News, great of you to join us. Keep up the great work with your podcast. Kevin Laramie as well is your sidekick there. You guys do great work, and again, really appreciate you joining us. And you're on the 24th minute. People can follow you on Twitter. Keep up the great work. And you posted a story, if I'm not mistaken. I see it right now already on the 24th minute. TFC's Hail Mary, Hope on the Argos. That's a great read. Great by you, Dwayne. And again, thanks so much for taking time to join us, my friend.
Cheers.
That is Dwayne Rollins of the Canadian Soccer News. He does a great job. Have a look at that at the 24th minute. He did a wonderful story there. TFC's Hail Mary, Hope on the Argos. We're going to get a different perspective right now. We're going to go down to Houston, Texas to talk with play-by-play guy of the Houston Dynamo, Matt Peterson. Matt has been great in the past and helping us out to get players on our show, as we had last week, Zach Steinberger, rookie with the Dynamo. But we're going to ask Matt, who has a close-up view, calls the games for the Dynamo. Not only Dynamo games are played there, but football games are played there as well. I want to ask him the effect it has on the players, what the fans have said, the whole 9 yards. And we're going to get that from Matt Peterson of the Houston Dynamo in a couple minutes. Stay tuned right here on Red Card.